Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuznuz here, and today's video is going to be about group bosses in RuneScape 3. Now, I'm going to get a little personal in this video and a little bit vulnerable, which is going to make this kind of a weird video, but hey, we're going to see how it goes, so keep that in mind. Now, as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about why most people hate group bosses in RuneScape 3 and have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to them. I'm also going to be talking about how I personally feel about group bosses and kind of just look at all the reasonings as to why people don't like group bosses, and then kind of give my own opinions on this. I did a video exactly like this where I talked about MTX and my opinions, and I have been seeing these comments about group bosses pop up, especially during like my Croesus poll, and I just want to kind of dive into them a bit and talk about how I feel and how others might feel, and maybe try to give people a new perspective and just, talk about a topic. So first, let's take a look at some of these comments that I had on my Croesus post. So one comment said, "The only thing about this boss that has dulled my excitement is it's a group boss." Another comment said, "I just wish it wasn't a group boss. It feels more like a raid boss and I'm more of a soloist. Now I need friends." Another comment said, "Just disappointed about it being a group boss, so I'll likely not be doing it." Now keep in mind, these aren't unpopular comments, and a lot of people have had this sentiment and have this sentiment. So how do I feel about this, and what do I think can be done to change this? Well, if we look at my group bosses that I've done in RuneScape 3, and keep in mind I PVM a ton, and as we go through my boss look here, you can see the main group bosses: Virago, Nex AOD, Solok, Raids, Rise of the Six. These are by far my lowest KCs that I have. Now, do I just not like group bosses? No, I actually don't dislike them. I actually find them pretty fun. But then why do I have so little KC of these bosses, and what is stopping me and so many others from doing them? Well, let's get into some of my thoughts on this. Firstly, and the biggest complaint I hear, is I don't have any friends to boss with, and that is something that I resonate with a lot. Wait, what? Nuznuz, you have almost 18,000 YouTube subscribers and you're telling me that you have no friends to group PVM with? Well, yes, that is kind of what I'm telling you. Basically, I'll be getting a bit personal here, but I grew up and still have a lot of social anxiety. I was diagnosed with it since I was a kid, and I was on medicine for a while, and it's very hard for me personally to feel comfortable around someone enough to voice chat with them, and just very hard for me to feel completely comfortable. It takes me a long time to, be able to be myself. And I'd say there's only 2 people on my Discord that I feel comfortable voice chatting with at all, and I've basically known them for years. Now, this comes into play because a lot of group bosses, basically all group bosses, are much easier with voice chatting, especially and this is a big point when you're learning. It's much easier to learn a new group boss when voice chatting, and some people either don't feel comfortable voice chatting with people they don't really know, or they just don't have enough friends to be able to group boss. Now for me, I have those 2 really good friends that I group boss with, which, as you can imagine, when one friend isn't playing a ton or taking a break and the other friend is living in a different time zone or gets busy, it can be really tough to find time to do group bosses. And then when there's group bosses that require more people, such as AOD, Raids, and Virago, it's much harder for me to find a group that I'm actually comfortable learning the boss with. It would be different if I actually knew the boss and knew what I was doing and was really good at it. Then I could find a group of random people to do the boss with. But when learning, it's much harder to put yourself in a situation with people you don't know, and that's what we're going to get into next. So why does being comfortable when group bossing matters? Can't you just boss with randoms? Well, the reason it matters is especially when you're learning, and basically that's the main thing. Being around people you're comfortable with and or people that are accepting, nice, willing to teach you the boss really matters. If I want to, let's say, do Solok for the first time, I'll probably die a lot, and me dying probably will make them not be able to get the kill. Now, if the people I was with reacted poorly, got upset at me, then I'd probably be like, hey, you know what? I won't do Solok anymore. I don't want to be a burden on these people that are trying to get their kills. And that's the mindset that a lot of people probably have when wanting to group PVM. They're afraid that they're going to be a burden, they're going to mess people up, or they're going to genuinely cause issues that the other team is going to be upset with them. This is why I think that group bossing needs a better system or a better in-game system than what we currently have to help people that are trying to learn, and why it's also important for people that are bossing with learners to be very patient with them. Try to help them and don't be toxic or get upset. Now on the flip side, it is completely fine to want to do bosses without learners and with people that know what they're doing. Sometimes I want to go and kill Duo Carapac with my friend and get 3-minute kills without taking someone and teaching them how to learn. That's completely your right, and that's totally fine. But if you are looking to teach people how to PVM or help out, there are many great PVM teachers and clans in RuneScape 3, and I think it's important for them to be patient with the people they're teaching. Now I'm going to talk about the concept that I've seen brought up a lot, and that is all bosses having an option to solo them. This is something I feel could be added to most bosses, although you'd have to make it more of a challenge. For instance, Carapac actually does this great, as well as Raksha. You can solo these bosses, it's a bit harder, and in Carapac's case, it's much harder, but you can also do it with groups as well for more chill kills. Elite Dungeon does this too, except for the fact that the loot is way worse, which I guess makes sense seeing as group elite dungeons are way easier than solo. Now, I don't think every boss has to have solo options. There are some bosses that don't make sense to be made for, solo, and bosses that have basically been made completely for groups, like with AOD and Virago. The boss mechanics were entirely built around groups, and I think that's how it should stay. And yes, I know the top of the top elite PVMers can solo Virago technically with an alt or solo AOD, but obviously for the vast majority of players, this is not a viable thing, but I think there should be a good middle ground. I think the social aspect of RuneScape is really what makes the game great, and there are a ton of reasons why people dislike group bosses. If you're someone that dislikes group bosses yourselves and you don't have many friends to boss with, the best advice that I can give you is to join a clan. Now, keep in mind, clans are a great part of the RuneScape community, and you can actually find one to fit any of your needs. There's big PVM clans that have very strict requirements, which helps fill the need for optimal PVM teams and for people that want to go for fast kills and already really know what they're doing. There's also clans that have a focus on helping people learn to PVM with a focus on teaching and working together, and I think that could help get a ton of people into group bossing, and I'm going to do some research on different clans that help learners, and I'll link those in the description. I'm not affiliated with any of them. As of recording, I don't know who they are yet, but I'm going to research them and give you guys, some resources in case you want to, find a clan yourself. Now, the other thing about group bossing that I personally am going to try to help fix in the coming months is up-to-date guides. So there are just very little guides on group bosses on YouTube at all. And if you think about it, it makes sense. It takes more effort for people to find a group and get kills, and there's usually way more roles to cover, way more different mechanics and things to worry about. I'm going to try to put out some group boss guides on learning the mechanics and try to simplify it down. So you have a visual aid to really help you learn the boss and what it entails, rather than focusing on like the optimal DPS rotations, because the first core thing is actually learning the boss mechanics, and I want to try to focus on learning the basics, sort of a beginner's guide if you will, to get into different group PVM bosses. Try to a visual aid, if you will, for learning the basics. If this is something you do want to see, make sure you like the video so I know that you guys want to see these beginner getting into group bosses guides, and I'll try to get started on those guides right away. But yeah, I see it from like both sides. I know that a lot of people are like, wow, you don't like group bosses, just get friends, and it's not that simple, I guess. There's a lot more things to it. Then I also see the side of people that are like, we should never have group bosses ever again, and I don't agree with that either. I think, it's harder than people think to, find people to do group bosses with, people that you're comfortable with, which is an important aspect, and people that want to actually teach you. I think it's harder to find people to learn group bosses with than find people to go to group bosses with, if that makes sense. It would be easy for me to find a really good team for AOD, but I think it would be harder to find a team that I'm comfortable with to learn AOD, and I think that's a big thing. Many people that don't like group bosses haven't actually got into group bosses because they feel like they have no entryway into it that they feel comfortable with. And that's kind of the point of this video. If you genuinely dislike group bosses because you just don't like how they work, then that's fine. I definitely don't feel that way. I actually really like group bosses, but the aspect of actually getting into them and learning them is the aspect that I find personally hard, and I think a lot of other people agree with me. So I think instead of not releasing group bosses or thinking everything should be just soloable, I think there should be better ways to help people learn these bosses, help people find people willing to teach them and stuff like that. So yeah, this was kind of a different video. I've done it before for MTX and stuff like this, and I usually only do these when the topic really touches me in a certain way. So got a little personal in this one, which is a bit weird for my channel, but I felt like it was needed to kind of explain this stuff. But if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see me make those guides, then be sure to leave a like. And if it sounded a little choppy like I just did now, it's because it's kind of live commentary and it's kind of hard for me to keep my thoughts sometimes. But yeah, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know how you feel below, and yeah, I'll try to find those clans and leave them in the description so you guys have some resources. And if you want to join my Discord as well, maybe I'll try to take some people with my friend who's a really good PVM teacher, and that link will be in the description too. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.